next we have Tarun, or is it Tarun, right?
Yes.
Okay. We have him presenting his third speech.
Yes.
Awesome.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as a part of my third speech project, I'm planning to talk about the relevance of programming in the information age in the context of knowledge economy. And as we know, as the economy progression you see in the history, from the agricultural to the industrial and to the current information age, what is the undercurrent which is common thread across all these things is there is always a product in each economy which was dealt with in that particular period. In the knowledge economy, all the products have something to do with the intellectual rights. They are more kind of biased towards intellectual rights. And the programming is one of the elements of those intellectual era, which I plan to talk about in my present talk. Essentially, the idea that I propose is life runs on code. Programming is basically nothing but code. Writing a program means it's a craft in which you write a software which executes and does something which the end user wants. So my contention is the life runs on code, and I want to prove this point by giving two examples. One example deals with the living part of the human life, and the other is the non-living. The non-living, I want to focus on the machines, especially those machines which deal with the digital electronics. And the living part, I want to focus on the human beings, the animal kingdom, the plant. Remember, the core idea of today's talk is the code, the life runs on code. So what exactly is the programming? Very simple definition. You write a code because the end product of writing code is you want to solve a problem. All right? So why life runs on code from the machine's perspective? At a very high level, I want to give an analogy. Say car and driver. If car is a hardware, then the driver is software. Without driver, the car is not going anywhere. So without software, all the digital electronics is dead. It's just a heavy piece of brick, nothing else. It could be a cell phone in your pocket, a laptop, it could be a satellite, or it could be a Land Rover on the Mars. The common thread in all these pieces of electronics is the code. Today's life is so much dependent on electronics. And the bottom line of this all electronic world is the code. At the end of the day, if electronic device needs to make sense, it depends on what is the quality of the code that is running inside it. That determines the fate of that device, whether it's going to sustain in the knowledge economy or not. So what exactly I mean when I say life runs on code and machines depend on code? See, in all the devices, all the electronic devices, doesn't matter whether it's a supercomputer or a cell phone in your pocket, at the end of the day, the bottom line is they understand only two things, 0 and 1. In electrical engineering side, they call them low voltage and high voltage. For a computer scientist, it's nothing but binary code. All digital electronics device need the binary code, 0 and 1, nothing else at the bottom. So this discussion establishes the point that all the electronic components do require code. So what about the living part? In the animal kingdom, in the human beings, how do we justify the presence of code? If you look at the cellular level, if we consider that the cell is the basic building block of the life, of course there are, if you ask a molecular biologist, they're going to argue not the cell, let's go deep inside and let's talk about the amino acids and protein synthesis. For the sake of this discussion, we'll assume that the cell is the basic building block of the life. If you look inside the cell, you have this nucleus, and DNA sitting right in the center. Within DNA, you have the chromosomes, the 23 pair of chromosomes. And within those 23 pair of chromosomes, you have what? Gene, genetic code. Ask a geneticist, he's going to tell you. The majority of body functions in living organisms, plants, animals, human, all across, majority of body functions are involuntary. Have you ever thought of giving instruction to your lungs that today you're going to work efficiently? Anybody gave ever instruction to the heart that please keep on pumping blood, I'm going to go for a nap? No. Nobody gives that kind of instructions. Have you ever thought who gives them instructions to the heart to pump the blood against the gravity? Because blood needs to go all over the body, to the brain, against the gravity, it does that. Who is giving the instructions? So all the biology, if you look at the cellular side of it, it is the genetic code which is instructing the particular body part to function. I'll give you an example of a pacemaker. In the heart, there are pacemaker cells which ensure that the heart is working okay, the blood flow wise. When the pacemaker is not working, what they do is doctor put an artificial pacemaker in the patient's heart. And that pacemaker also is driven by software. So somebody wrote that software that if the flow in the arteries goes to this much particular diameter and the heart has problem in it, you need to release this much voltage of current. That is determined by the software. So you see, this is a nice example where man and machine interface together to determine the flow of our life. So in these 2 points I have put across is that the machines as well as human life is dependent on code. So I'll just wrap it up, this topic, by focusing on, so what is the real life it means for us? I'll give you an example. Recently, the New York mayor, Bloomberg, in 2012, he's a billionaire by the way, he tweeted that my New Year resolution is to learn programming. That's a big statement from a billionaire person. That shows the trend. That shows the upheaval, I guess, that programming has the potential to bring in the human life. It is a life-altering phenomenon, which is not appreciated to that extent as of now. Secondly, the MIT Research Lab has come up with a new notion. They call it kindergarten for life. The professors have developed a software which they think is known by the name of Scratch. It is for those people who are not connected to the IT world, but they can appreciate that right from the kindergarten age up to the entry-level engineering courses at MIT, this language is being taught. If you Google by the name of CS50, CS50 is a computer science course at MIT which teaches this subject called Scratch programming, which a 4th grade, 3rd grader student can also understand. So if you look at what the smart people are doing up in the academia and what the industry requires, and the very fact that we are in the information age, if you connect the dots, there is only one thing which connects all these things. It is the programming. It is the ability to understand the code that is so much influencing our life. So I'll end this with a statement. There's a very nice book which says, either you need to learn programming or be programmed. It is your choice.